unanswered questions about.
Shut up, asshole.
What?
Number 1.
Does Chucky share a universe with Jason, Freddy, Michael, and Leatherface? Or
Number 2.
is this a red herring and Chucky actually takes place part of a different universe you probably overlooked? Allow me to completely blow your mind. It's a common conception that this infamous scene in the opening of Bride of Chucky hints at a shared slasherverse within the likes of Child's Play, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. While we do know that Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees share a universe, I hate to be the one to tell you, but this scene in Bride of Chucky is not a nod to the other slashers, but it actually hints at a completely different universe that you probably never heard of. I feel like this has flown over people's heads for nearly 30 years, so it's my duty to debunk this, not because I want to, but the evidence is there. I imagine back in 1998 when audience had front row seats to Bride of Chucky, the audience went crazy when they saw all their favorite slashers in that Lockport evidence depository in New York. And remember New York because this location plays an importance in this theory. I imagine fans went nuts, saying that Chucky's part of the big leagues now. But what if I told you that this scene might not be referencing them at all? So here's where things start to get wild. Let's just jump into it. Rip off the band-aid. The universe that connects cleanly to Chucky isn't Friday the 13th, Halloween, or A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's Sleepaway Camp. Yeah, Sleepaway Camp. Stick with me here. Hear me out. Let's break down each piece of evidence in that locker and break down why they're just red herrings. Let's start with Jason's mask. First off, if Jason ever looked like this, I would go into cardiac arrest and die of laughter before he could ever even get to me. Fun fact, this mask is actually seen on the cover of Sleepaway Camp 2. And if you look closely, it's identical. The same shape, same design, it's the same exact mask. I'm still not convinced. Let's talk about Freddy's iconic glove. Angela Baker, the killer in the Sleepaway Camp movies, uses this glove in one of her kills. I'll play that clip right here.
Hey, where'd you find it?
Need more?
Alrighty then.
Let's move on to Leatherface's chainsaw. In Sleepaway Camp 2, Angela also skins one of her victims and wears their faces while using the chainsaw to kill one of the counselors. I'll play that clip as well.
Sorry.
So that explains the chainsaw. Now you might wonder how these link up. Remember when I told you to remember New York? Here's why. Sleepaway Camp takes place in New York. The original Sleepaway Camp takes place at Camp Arawak that's located in New York. The sequel, Sleepaway Camp 2, takes place at Camp Rolling Hills, which is said to be 60 miles from the original campsite, also in New York.
I know a true story. There used to be this camp about 60 miles from here. Camp Arawak.
Yeah, all these kids got killed.
Shut up.
So what makes perfect sense to have this evidence in Lockport PD in New York is tied to the Sleepaway Camp crimes. I mean, this evidence locker is literally showing you the exact mask and weapons used in Sleepaway Camp 2. The chainsaws are even the same color. They're not necessarily trophies for other slashers. It makes sense for this evidence to be here, considering they're in the same state, instead of a reference of crimes happening across completely different states. But the biggest knife to the heart, the reason this slasherverse can't exist, comes from Michael Myers. The Chucky TV show puts the final nail in the coffin. Halloween and Michael Myers are movies. They don't take place in the same universe or reality. They even reference Laurie Strode as a favorite final girl, and even mentions Jamie Lee Curtis possibly winning an Oscar.
Favorite final girl?
Laurie Strode, hands down.
Jamie Lee's gonna win the Saturn this year.
Dude, she's gonna win an Oscar. She's magnificent.
So that means that Michael and the Halloween films exist as fictional movies in Chucky's universe. So if Michael Myers is confirmed not to be real, then I can only imagine that Jason, Freddy, and Leatherface aren't real as well. So sorry to break your heart, but these slashers aren't canon to each other. At least not in Chucky's world. However, Sleepaway Camp very well might be. The props that we see in the Lockport evidence locker, the mask, the glove, the chainsaw, they're not symbols of a shared slasher universe. They're the evidence pieces of Angela Baker's legacy. I mean, the evidence is literally on screen. But what's your thoughts on this? How much does it suck dick that Chucky completely ruled out the possibility of sharing a universe with Michael Myers? Let me know down below.
Number 3.
Did Tiffany rebuild Chucky from Tommy's body in Child's Play 2 instead of the completely destroyed one in Child's Play 3? This is one of many mysteries of Bride, because there's no way in hell Chucky's body should be intact after being completely blended in that carnival fan. Dude got turned into red mist and doll confetti. There wouldn't even be enough to sweep in the damn dustpan, let alone rebuild. Now, what sparked my interest in this question is what Tiffany tells Damien about the doll. I'll play that clip right here.
The hell'd you get this thing?
Got it from the cops. It's the actual doll from those murders.
Now, when she says those murders, I don't think she can be talking about the Kent military murders. If we run through the victims of Child's Play 3, not only do they list Kent military, Unsolved, and Curse of Chucky, but on paper, not too much is out of the ordinary. Think about it. The garbage man died in a freak accident. Colonel Cochran died of a heart attack. Colonel Shelton accidentally shot when live rounds were used instead of paintballs. So that only leaves Whitehurst and Botnick. So since it is unsolved, who could this madman be? The only thing tying Chucky to Kent is Andy. So part of me feels like Kent is completely irrelevant in this film, considering it only took place a couple of months ago. It will make more sense and be more relevant if she was talking about the events of Child's Play 1 and Child's Play 2, which are directly labeled and tied to the image of the good guy doll. So what if Tiffany actually got her hands on the Tommy doll from Child's Play 2? This makes a lot more sense. The timeline fits, the location fits. Child's Play 2 took place in Chicago. Tiffany and Charles lived in Chicago. And if you look close enough, the scars line up almost identical between Tommy's face and Chucky's new stitched up mug. It's subtle, but it's there. Matter of fact, there is no way this is the same doll from Child's Play 3. Even if we ignore the fact that Chucky was literally fucking blended into dust. Half of his face was cut off. This doll has both halves intact. This section right here cannot be there. It cannot. The left side of his face was gone. You can also see half of his nose is cut off. This doll is not. What are we doing? But going back to the Tommy doll, the facial deformities are damn near the same. If we have one last comparison look, I'm pretty sold on this. Think about it. The Tommy doll was still in Chicago, the place that Tiffany and Charles Lee Ray called home, and it would be a lot easier for her to track that down. She would know about the events of Child's Play 1 and Child's Play 2. If she's going to pay out the cops, they would have this exact doll in evidence already. This is way more believable than her tracking down some doll in Missouri that got shredded up in some random carnival. The Tommy doll would have been the only doll directly tied to the previous murders. So maybe Tiffany didn't resurrect this doll at all. Maybe she gave his soul a new doll, and that body just happened to belong to Tommy. And poor Tommy, he was a real one. But what do you think about this? Let me know down below.
What are you, fucking nuts?
Why did they move Charles's tombstone and grave? This has been driving me crazy ever since I watched the TV show. It's one of those tiny details they expect people not to pick up on, but apparently they don't know who Ray Decker is. In this film, we learn that Charles's grave is located in Forest Hill Cemetery in Hackensack, New Jersey. Now, Forest Hill Cemetery is this creepy, isolated graveyard in the middle of bumfuck nowhere on the outskirts and fields of Hackensack, New Jersey. This film shows us the exact plot and a close-up of his tombstone when everything goes down between Chucky, Tiffany, Jade, and Jesse. It's pretty clear that this is far away from the town itself. But when the TV show rolls around, suddenly his grave's been relocated. Not only that, it's now sitting in the middle of the town, like dead center, like right beside the courthouse, City Hall. You can get a great view of it in Season 1, Episode 3, around the 29-minute mark. There's a sky shot that shows the graveyard surrounded by houses and buildings, directly in the middle of the town. And then again, around 44 minutes, we get a clear look at his updated tombstone, a totally new design by the way. You also see this cemetery once again in the season finale, Episode 8. Another overhead shot confirms it. They plop Chucky's grave right in the middle of Hackensack, like it's a tourist attraction now. So the question is why? And who paid for the brand new headstone? Why is there a brand new headstone? There's no in-universe explanation, no lines of dialogue, not even a throwaway mention. Not that I could find. So did the city of Hackensack decide to memorialize one of its most notorious serial killers, like it's the Manson family? But then again, when is anything in this universe logical? But whatever the reason, it's pretty bizarre. Bride of Chucky shows it out in the middle of nowhere, on the outskirts of town, TV show, right dab in the motherfucking middle. Why?
Yeah, baby!
Was Chucky planning this kill for over 20 years? This is a very short one, but let's talk about this blink and you miss it detail. Inside Chucky's playpen, there's this little drawing that at first glance just looks like some messed up toddler art. But when you really look at it, it might look a little familiar in modern day. Fast forward 2 decades later, to the TV show. Season 2, boom. Ex-Mayor Michelle Cross meets her fate in an identical fashion. Sliced clean in half with a chainsaw. Pretty dope. So was this kill something that Chucky had in his mind since the 90s? Was this his dream kill finally brought to life? It's pretty interesting to think about. Rapid fire round.
Come here.
Stop it.
Yeah, Chucky knows what's up. Tiffany has a book of love spells too. I wonder what she dove into that with. I mean, it worked on me.
Holy shit!
Chucky going full Quagmire here. How did this housekeeper not see them bodies? You need an updated eye exam. I wasn't a huge fan of the TV show, but I do like the little details and continuity. Like Tiffany's car. As you can see here, it rolls over to the films and the flashback scenes of the TV show. I can't complain on this one. Why do people think that Lockport isn't in New York? This film takes place in New York. I mean, the license plates say New York. The police badges say New York. The places they stop, like Niagara Falls, is in New York. Fuck.
I don't need you. I'll look it up myself.
Chapter 6, page 217.
That says chapter 11, not 6. Bro, this scene is so dumb. Look closely at this. The crib isn't even connected to anything. Why is Tiffany locking the top of the table? This is the table. This is the crib. It's not, there's nothing there. How did Chucky not see this?
All right, let's go.
Oh, sure. I'll steer and you can work the pedals. We're dolls, you dope! Oh my god!
Let's just get me rolling.
What? They lost you!
What happened to the original dolls at the end of this movie? A lot of people assume that these are the same two dolls in the Seed of Chucky, but that's not true. The dolls in Seed are completely new builds, animatronics, new mold, whole new origin story. See, in Seed of Chucky, we learned that they used these dolls to make a Chucky movie called Chucky Goes Psycho. These dolls were manufactured in Japan. They're even stamped as so. You can see this when Glenn resurrects his parents. That means these dolls weren't resurrected versions of the ones from Bride. They were recreations. High-end animatronics for Hollywood, created in Japan. Not the original good guy doll, old Chuckerton over here, that was manufactured in Chicago. So that begs the question, what happened to the real dolls? Logically, I guess it was bagged and tagged as police evidence. Maybe it's in Hackensack's police evidence. If that's the case, I'm surprised this never came up in the TV show, because it's a pretty big missed opportunity. Because when all else failed, and those 72 plus good guy dolls got destroyed, there was always one more that Chucky could always go back to. And that was the doll from the end of this movie. But nobody really knows. But what I do know is that these aren't the same dolls from Seed of Chucky. So what happened to the original dolls?
Number 8.
Did Jade and Jesse die off screen? It's one thing to make it through one of the most wildest road trips in horror history, then get cleared of the murders and live to tell the tale. But they're never seen or mentioned again. But there's a single line of dialogue in Curse of Chucky that might confirm that they didn't get their happy ending at all. I'll play that clip right here.
A lot of families have come and gone. The Barclays, the Kincaids. You're the last one standing.
So Chucky mentions the Kincaids, and now Nika and her family are the only ones left standing,
So to speak.
Does this imply that he went back and finished the job? I mean, between Bride and Curse, there's a 15-year gap. That's plenty of time for Chucky to track down Jesse and Jade, settle the score, and erase these two lovebirds that humiliated him at the end of this movie. I mean, if you think about it, Curse was all about Chucky catching up with loose ends. He kills his own one-sided love interest, Nika's mother, kills her entire family, except Nika. He even goes after Andy again at the end of the movie, in the post-credits. So if after Seed of Chucky, Chucky is committing his time now to catch up on these loose ends, what makes the Kincaids any different? It could have took place before the events of Curse, just off screen. Chucky talking about the Kincaids in past tense, is that confirmation? Or just a casual mention of events from the past? If that's the case, then why would he say that Nika's family is the last one standing? That implies that the other ones are took care of. It's interesting to think about. Does that line of dialogue confirm that the Kincaid family, Jesse, Jade, and possibly even children, didn't make it out? Let me know your thoughts.
Number 9.
Did the medical examiner get blamed for the murders? Or
Number 10.
did it revert back to Jesse and Jade? Finally talking about the ending of this film in detail. Everything completely goes off the rails. Goes apeshit. Bonkers. Looking through the victims, we got Warren, Officer Needle Nose.
Needle dick! Needle dick!
The elderly couple with the RV, the honeymooners in the hotel, and finally the showdown in the Hackensack Cemetery. That's a lot of bodies for 2 runaway teens. But fast forward to the actual ending. Lieutenant Preston shows up and clears the name of Jade and Jesse, literally moments before Glenn killed him. He vouched for them in his dying breath. But that's not exactly a sworn affidavit, is it? So while they may have been cleared at the scene, once Preston died, it probably threw the case right back into chaos. Because who's left standing? Nobody. 2 traumatized teenagers, lovebirds, you have a dead lieutenant, and 1 sketchy medical examiner digging up Charles Lee Ray's grave. Alone. Again, if we look back on this 15 years later, in Curse of Chucky, the Niagara Falls murders are referenced that is still unsolved. So if the case never got tied up neatly, who took the blame? Someone must have taken the fall. 4 films in with Bride, and 6 films in with Curse of Chucky, the unsolved logic doesn't work anymore. Somebody has to take the fall for these murders, even if it's not Chucky. And this medical examiner just might fit the bill. Hear me out. He's caught exhuming Charles's corpse alone at night with no backup. There should be police assistance, additional personnel. After all, this is an active police investigation across 2 states, and I doubt the police would have him there alone, because the whole point of exhuming the body is because they found Charles's fingerprints at the crime scenes. So in this case, I'm sure they did find Chucky's human remains in his grave. So they can't be like, oh, the Lakeshore Strangler's alive. No, he's not, clearly. So it would have to be chalked up to a copycat killer who has access to Chucky's fingerprints. And there's only one person in this film that could be the medical examiner. So when the police showed up afterwards, they're going to find 2 dead bodies, Preston and the medical examiner, and no clear suspect. Because again, Preston cleared Jade and Jesse. And since this is unsolved, like we mentioned earlier, they never took the fall for it. So it's not that hard to imagine the tabloid saying that the medical examiner went rogue, killed Preston, then died during the altercation, after Preston got off a gunshot to the head and then died shortly afterwards from his injuries. Case closed. Sounds crazy, but this crime spree is crazy. It would have to be chalked up to a medical examiner who was a sick and demented fan of the Lakeshore Strangler and used Charles's corpse to plant DNA at the crime scenes to purposely throw off the investigators and lead the eye of the public to believe that the Lakeshore Strangler was back in action and at large. It would turn into this entire big conspiracy theory. And maybe we could argue that the medical examiner would have actually hidden the body of Charles to strike fear into people that the Lakeshore Strangler is back after 10 years, after his supposed death. Because in that scenario, there is nobody to prove that he's actually dead, and now his fingerprints are at every crime scene. That would be bonkers, but man, I'd actually watch that movie. And of course we know that none of this is true. It's hypothetical. But logically, this is the only scenario I can think of that ties everything together if I was a police officer trying to solve this investigation and I have no idea what's going on, looking from the outside in. Because again, somebody had to take the fall, and it wasn't Jesse or Jade, and it sure wasn't the now dead Lieutenant Preston. So the only odd man out is the medical examiner, the last man standing in a graveyard full of corpses who died before he could act out his plan. The same medical examiner who is the only one who had access to Chucky's body, which is the only physical way that the fingerprints could be at the crime scene. He's the only one with the access. So what do you think? If we ignore the trope of unsolved, as cliche as that is, who would you point the finger at? The medical examiner, who had access to his body, who could have planted that DNA there? Or Jade and Jesse, who was cleared by Preston, that we know never took the fall? So who took the fall? Let me know down below. That's going to wrap this video up, guys. Thank you so much for taking part you did to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it. And man, fuck, I got to see the Chucky next. I mean, I don't want to do it. I'll be real with you. I don't want to do that, but I'm going to. With that being said, if you have any interesting theories about Seed of Chucky, or the other films, or the TV show, drop it in the Discord. The Discord is free. It's just a hangout spot. You can come, drop your theories, tell me about your day, how good it was, how shitty it was. We talk about a little bit of everything there. Movies, music, media, comics, life, bad days, good days, memories. So even if you don't have a theory, come on down and join the hangout. I would love to have you there. But if you do have a theory that I really like, and it holds some weight, I will credit you in the video. I also have a YouTube membership where you always get early access to my videos. You get custom loyalty badges, custom emojis. Don't feel obligated, but it's very beneficial for you and me. Plus, you'll be supporting me and this channel. With that being said, until next time, guys, I love you all. Adios.